The laughter and chatter of our guests downstairs echoed through the house, punctuated by the occasional clink of glasses and bursts of joyful singing. It was my birthday, and Sarah had promised me a surprise that she said would top all previous years. Little did I know it was a surprise that would change everything. As I made my way upstairs to our bedroom, a mix of anticipation and excitement coursed through me. I couldn't wait to see what Sarah had planned, imagining perhaps a gift or a heartfelt gesture that would make this day truly memorable. Pushing open the bedroom door, I froze. There, on our bed, was Sarah, tangled in sheets, her hair mussed and her eyes wide with shock. And there beside her was Mark, my closest friend since childhood, shirtless and hastily pulling on his pants, his face contorted with a mix of guilt and panic. Time seemed to slow to a crawl as the scene burned itself into my mind. The air in the room felt heavy with betrayal, thick with unspoken words and shattered trust. I stood rooted to the spot, my mind struggling to comprehend what I was seeing. Sarah's voice cut through the silence, a desperate plea tinged with tears. "Tom, please let me explain." My fists clenched involuntarily at my sides, anger raw and visceral surged through me. The image before me replayed over and over, each repetition deepening the wound in my chest. "You were supposed to be downstairs," Sarah stammered, her words like a feeble attempt to justify the unjustifiable. My jaw tightened, muscles twitching as I fought to control the torrent of emotions threatening to engulf me. Guests were still laughing and chatting below, unaware of the storm brewing just a floor above them. "Get out," I managed to choke out finally, my voice hoarse with a mixture of disbelief and fury. "Both of you, get out." Mark hurriedly made for the door, shooting me a look of shame and regret as he passed. Sarah reached out towards me, but I recoiled, unable to bear her touch. "Tom, please, we can talk about this," she pleaded, tears now streaming down her cheeks. "There's nothing left to say," I replied coldly, my heart breaking anew with each syllable. With that they left, their footsteps echoing down the stairs and fading into the background of the party below. I stood alone in the wreckage of what had been our sanctuary, feeling the weight of betrayal settle around me like a suffocating blanket. The sounds of the party downstairs became distant and muffled, as if I were hearing them from underwater. My mind raced, trying to grasp the enormity of what had just transpired. Images of Sarah and Mark together flashed through my mind, each one a dagger to my already wounded heart. I sank down onto the edge of the bed, burying my face in my hands as the tears I had been holding back finally spilled over. The pain was unlike anything I had ever experienced, a deep ache that seemed to radiate from every fiber of my being. The birthday celebration continued downstairs, oblivious to the devastation that had just unfolded in our home. But for me, the world had shifted on its axis. Nothing would ever be the same again. The echoes of the party downstairs lingered in the air like a mocking chorus as I stood alone in the bedroom, grappling with the aftermath of Sarah's betrayal. Every breath felt like a struggle, each heartbeat a painful reminder of the shattered trust that lay between us. I heard footsteps approaching cautiously from the hallway. Sarah's tentative voice broke the silence, trembling with a mix of fear and sorrow. "Tom, please talk to me." I turned to face her, my expression a mask of hurt and anger. "Talk? You want to talk now?" Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she stepped closer, her hands reaching out as if to comfort me. "I made a mistake, Tom. It was a moment of weakness." "A mistake?" I scoffed bitterly, cutting her off. "Sleeping with my best friend in our bed on my birthday. That's more than just a mistake, Sarah. That's a betrayal." Sarah's lower lip quivered as she struggled to find the right words. "I never meant to hurt you." "I love you, Tom." The words landed like a punch to the gut, their sincerity lost in the wreckage of our shattered trust. "Love? If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this," I retorted, my voice cracking with emotion. Mark, who had been standing awkwardly in the doorway, finally spoke up, his voice tinged with guilt. "Tom, I'm sorry. It was a moment of weakness, and I take full responsibility." "Shut up, Mark," I snapped, my temper flaring anew at the sight of him. "You're not sorry. You're just sorry you got caught." Mark flinched at my words, his face flushing with shame. He glanced at Sarah, as if seeking some form of support, but she stood silently, her gaze fixed on the floor. You've both betrayed me, I continued, my voice quieter now but laced with simmering rage. You've destroyed everything we had. Sarah reached out again, her voice pleading. Tom, please. Let's talk about this. We can work through it. I shook my head, incredulous at her audacity. There's nothing left to work through, Sarah. You made your choice. The sounds of the party downstairs seemed to grow louder, a stark contrast to the silence that enveloped us in the bedroom. Guests were likely wondering where we had disappeared to, unaware of the turmoil that now defined our lives. I want you both out of this house, I said finally, my voice firm. Tonight. Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief, her hands trembling at her sides. Tom, please, don't do this. It's done, I replied, my tone final. Pack your things and leave. Mark nodded silently, avoiding my gaze as he turned to leave the room. Sarah stood rooted to the spot, her eyes locked with mine in a silent plea for forgiveness that I could no longer grant. As they left, the weight of their betrayal settled around me like a heavy cloak. The bedroom, once a sanctuary filled with memories of love and laughter, now felt like a prison of pain and heartache. Alone once more, I sank onto the bed, the tears I had been holding back finally flowing freely. The enormity of what had transpired washed over me in waves, each one threatening to pull me under. Outside, the faint strains of birthday music drifted through the open window, a cruel reminder of the celebrations that had been interrupted by betrayal. But for me, there was no cause for celebration. Not anymore. The following moments after Sarah and Mark left felt surreal, as if I were living in a nightmare from which I couldn't wake. Downstairs, the sounds of the party continued, oblivious to the devastation that had just unfolded upstairs in our bedroom. I stood in the center of the room, surrounded by the remnants of our shattered life together. The bed, once a place of intimacy and comfort, now felt tainted by their betrayal. Every corner of the room echoed with memories that now stung with betrayal and lies. The guests who had witnessed the confrontation began to filter out, their murmurs and sidelong glances leaving a bitter taste in my mouth. Some offered awkward apologies and sympathetic pats on the shoulder, but their words fell flat against the raw wound in my heart. Alone in the silence that followed, I struggled to process the whirlwind of emotions that threatened to consume me. Anger, sorrow, disbelief, all battled for dominance within me, leaving me feeling hollow and adrift. Minutes stretched into hours as I paced the room, unable to find solace in the familiar surroundings that had suddenly become a prison of pain. The weight of Sarah's betrayal pressed down on me like a suffocating blanket, stealing the air from my lungs. Finally, the sound of footsteps approaching broke through my turmoil. It was Rachel, Sarah's sister and my longtime friend, who stood hesitantly in the doorway. Tom, I'm so sorry, she began, her voice trembling with sympathy. I turned to face her, my expression a mask of anguish. I don't understand, Rachel. How could she do this to me? To us? Rachel stepped into the room cautiously, her eyes filled with tears. I wish I had answers for you, Tom. But I don't know what could have led Sarah to betray everything we had. I finished for her, my voice cracking with emotion. I trusted her, Rachel. I trusted both of them. Rachel approached me tentatively, her hand reaching out as if to offer comfort. I know this is hard, Tom, but you're not alone. We're here for you. I pulled away from her touch, the pain too raw to bear even the gentlest of gestures. I need some time, I said hoarsely, my voice barely above a whisper. Alone? Rachel nodded silently, her eyes filled with sympathy as she turned to leave. Before she reached the door, she paused and looked back at me. Just know that we all love you, Tom. We'll support you through this. As the door closed behind her, I sank onto the bed, the weight of the world crashing down upon me. Outside, the sounds of the party had dwindled to a distant murmur, a reminder of the life I had known just hours before, a life that now lay shattered at my feet. In the days that followed, the fallout of Sarah's betrayal became increasingly apparent. Friends and family called and visited, offering their condolences and words of support. Some expressed shock and disbelief, while others whispered behind closed doors, their judgment palpable. Meanwhile, Sarah attempted to reach out, bombarding me with calls and messages begging for forgiveness. Each attempt only fueled my anger and resentment, hardening my resolve to sever ties with the woman who had once been my everything. Legal consultations followed as I sought to protect myself and what remained of our shared life. Divorce papers were drawn up, dividing assets and responsibilities in a cold and methodical manner that mirrored the shattered fragments of our marriage. Through it all, I remained steadfast in my decision to rebuild my life without Sarah and the man who had betrayed our friendship. The wounds inflicted upon my heart would take time to heal, but with each passing day, I found a flicker of strength within myself, a strength born of pain and forged in the fires of betrayal. The days that followed the initial confrontation were a blur of numbness and heartache. Every corner of our once happy home seemed to echo with the memories of a life now shattered beyond repair. I avoided the bedroom where I had caught Sarah and Mark, unable to face the painful reminders that lurked within. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the neighborhood, I found myself drawn to the solitude of my car. It was a sanctuary of sorts, a place where I could escape the suffocating weight of betrayal that hung heavy in the air of our home. I slid behind the wheel and started the engine, the familiar hum providing a small measure of comfort amidst the chaos of my emotions. The soft glow of streetlights illuminated the quiet streets as I navigated aimlessly, my mind a whirlwind of memories and unanswered questions. The drive offered a respite from the constant barrage of well-meaning condolences and whispered gossip that had become a part of my daily life. Alone in the cocoon of my car, I allowed myself to feel the full extent of the pain that had settled deep within my chest. Images of Sarah and Mark together haunted me, each one a dagger to my already wounded heart. I replayed the moment of betrayal over and over in my mind, searching for clues, for signs that I had missed. But the truth remained elusive, wrapped in layers of deceit and broken promises. Lost in my thoughts, I drove without a destination in mind, the rhythmic hum of the engine a steady companion in the silence. Darkness descended like a shroud, enveloping the world outside as my internal turmoil raged on unabated. Memories of happier times flickered through my mind like fragments of a dream. Sarah's laughter, the warmth of her touch, all now tainted by the bitter taste of betrayal. How could someone I had loved so deeply have inflicted such pain upon me? A tear slipped down my cheek, unnoticed in the dim light of the dashboard. The ache in my chest threatened to overwhelm me, a physical manifestation of the emotional storm raging within. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, willing myself to stay composed despite the torrent of emotions threatening to break free. Time seemed to lose meaning as I drove through the night, the world outside passing by in a blur of streetlights and empty sidewalks. The weight of the silence pressed down upon me, a stark contrast to the noise and laughter that had once filled our home. Eventually I found myself at the edge of town, where the city lights gave way to the quiet solitude of open fields. I parked the car by the side of the road and turned off the engine, the sudden stillness a stark reminder of the emptiness that had settled within me. Leaning back against the seat, I closed my eyes and allowed myself to breathe. The cool night air filled my lungs, offering a moment of clarity amidst the chaos. In the solitude of that silent drive, I began to confront the reality of my new existence, a life forever altered by betrayal and heartbreak. As the hours passed, I found a measure of peace in the quiet stillness of the night. The drive had not provided answers, nor had it erased the pain, but it had offered a brief respite, a moment of solitude in which to gather my shattered thoughts and steel my resolve for the challenges that lay ahead. With a heavy heart, I started the engine once more and began the journey back home. The road stretched out before me, a path leading towards an uncertain future. But for now, in the quiet solitude of that silent drive, I found solace in the simple act of moving forward, 1 mile at a time. In the days that followed the silent drive, a quiet determination settled within me. The initial shock and raw pain of Sarah's betrayal began to give way to a steely resolve, a resolve fueled by the need for justice and retribution. I moved into the guest room, refusing to share a bed with Sarah or even speak to her beyond what was absolutely necessary. Our home, once a sanctuary of love and trust, now felt like a battleground where I plotted my revenge. Alone in the evenings, after the facade of normalcy had faded and the world outside grew quiet, I began to meticulously plan my next moves. Revenge was not a concept I had ever entertained before, but now it consumed my thoughts with a relentless intensity. First, I consulted with a divorce lawyer, an expert in navigating the intricacies of marital dissolution. We discussed asset division, custody arrangements for our dog Max, and the legal avenues available to ensure that Sarah would not walk away unscathed from her betrayal. Gathering evidence became my obsession. I installed hidden cameras throughout the house, strategically placed to capture any further indiscretions between Sarah and Mark. Each piece of footage, each damning image, fueled the fire of my anger and strengthened my resolve to expose their deceit. Old messages and emails between Sarah and Mark, once innocent exchanges of friendship and trust, now served as damning evidence of their affair. I painstakingly collected and cataloged every incriminating detail, building a case that would leave no doubt of their betrayal. Beyond legal measures, I began to orchestrate my revenge in more personal ways. I feigned a willingness to reconcile with Sarah, playing the part of a forgiving husband who was willing to overlook her transgressions for the sake of salvaging what remained of our marriage. Under the guise of reconciliation, I began to sow seeds of doubt and suspicion. I questioned Sarah's every move, subtly probing for inconsistencies in her stories and behavior. The trust that had once been the cornerstone of our relationship had crumbled, replaced by a cold war of deception and manipulation. Meanwhile, I reached out to mutual friends and acquaintances, carefully crafting a narrative that painted Sarah and Mark in their true colors. I revealed their betrayal in carefully measured doses, ensuring that each revelation carried maximum impact and left no room for doubt. The fallout from their betrayal extended beyond our home and into their social circles. Friends who had once stood by Sarah and Mark now distanced themselves, unable to reconcile the facade of friendship with the harsh reality of their deceit. As the weeks passed, my plans for revenge began to take shape with a chilling precision. Legal documents were drafted and filed, setting the stage for a divorce that would strip Sarah of everything she had taken from me: financial security, social standing, and the illusion of respectability. But beyond the legal and social consequences, I harbored darker thoughts of revenge, thoughts of confronting Mark in a private setting, of exacting a physical toll for the emotional pain he had inflicted upon me. The mere idea of his humiliation and suffering brought a twisted sense of satisfaction amidst the turmoil of my emotions. In the quiet solitude of my planning, I found a semblance of control, a way to channel the overwhelming pain and anger that threatened to consume me. Revenge became my lifeline, a means of reclaiming power in a world that had been shattered by betrayal. Yet, beneath the surface of my meticulously crafted plans, a part of me wondered if revenge would truly bring the closure and healing I so desperately sought. As I delved deeper into the darkness of my own making, I couldn't help but question whether justice would ultimately bring peace, or if it would only perpetuate the cycle of pain and betrayal that had come to define my life. With each passing day, my determination to seek justice and reclaim control over my shattered life grew stronger. The initial shock of Sarah's betrayal had given way to a cold and calculated resolve, a resolve that manifested itself in meticulous legal preparations. I met with a divorce lawyer recommended by a trusted friend. His office, nestled in a quiet corner of the city, became my sanctuary, a place where I could discuss the intricacies of marital dissolution away from the prying eyes and whispered gossip that plagued our once happy home. The lawyer, Mr. Johnson, greeted me with a firm handshake and a sympathetic expression that conveyed both understanding and professionalism. We sat down in his office, the air thick with the weight of the decisions that lay ahead. "Tom, I'm truly sorry for what you're going through," Mr. Johnson began, his voice a measured blend of empathy and legal acumen. "Let's start by discussing your goals and the options available to you." I nodded, my mind racing with the myriad details that needed to be addressed. "I want to protect my assets," I replied, my voice tinged with determination, "and ensure that Sarah doesn't walk away from this without consequences." Over the next several hours, we delved into the complexities of asset division, spousal support, and custody arrangements for Max, our beloved dog. Mr. Johnson outlined the legal avenues available to me, offering insights into strategies that would safeguard my financial future and minimize the impact of Sarah's betrayal. "We'll need to gather evidence of the affair," Mr. Johnson explained, his tone businesslike yet sympathetic. text messages, emails, witness statements, anything that corroborates your claims of infidelity." I nodded again, my thoughts already consumed by the evidence I had painstakingly collected in the days following the initial confrontation. Hidden cameras had captured Sarah and Mark's interactions, revealing the depth of their deception in stark, undeniable detail. "I have recordings," I admitted quietly, the weight of the evidence pressing down upon me like a heavy burden. "And emails. Messages exchanged between Sarah and Mark." Mr. Johnson listened attentively, his brow furrowing in concentration. "That's good," he replied, his voice a mixture of encouragement and practicality. "We'll review everything and determine the best course of action." In the days that followed, Mr. Johnson and I worked tirelessly to build a case that would leave no doubt of Sarah's infidelity and Mark's betrayal of our friendship. Documents were meticulously drafted, evidence was organized and cataloged, and a strategy for legal proceedings began to take shape. Beyond the legal aspects, I took proactive steps to secure my financial independence. Joint accounts were frozen, ensuring that Sarah would not have access to funds that rightfully belonged to me. I updated my will and other legal documents to reflect the changes in my life, a stark reminder of the irreversible damage wrought by Sarah's betrayal. The legal preparations consumed my days and nights, offering a sense of purpose amidst the chaos of emotions that threatened to overwhelm me. Each document signed, each piece of evidence collected, brought me one step closer to closure, a closure that I hoped would bring an end to the pain and uncertainty that had engulfed my life. Yet, beneath the facade of determination and meticulous planning, a part of me still grappled with the emotional fallout of Sarah's betrayal. The wounds inflicted upon my heart would take far longer to heal than any legal battle or financial settlement could mend. As I immersed myself deeper into the legal labyrinth of divorce proceedings, I couldn't help but wonder if justice would truly bring the peace and healing I so desperately sought. The road ahead was fraught with challenges and uncertainties. But for now, the legal preparations offered a glimmer of hope, a beacon of light in the darkness of betrayal and heartbreak. In the aftermath of Sarah's betrayal, as I delved deeper into the preparations for divorce and revenge, gathering concrete evidence became paramount. Each piece of proof was a dagger of truth that pierced through the veil of deceit and denial, solidifying my resolve to hold both Sarah and Mark accountable for their actions. Armed with the knowledge that legal proceedings would require substantial evidence of infidelity, I embarked on a meticulous mission to document every aspect of their betrayal. The first step was installing hidden cameras strategically throughout our home, discreetly placed in the bedroom where I had caught Sarah and Mark, as well as in other common areas. These cameras captured their interactions, subtle glances, furtive touches, and whispered conversations that betrayed the depth of their deceit. Each evening, after the facade of normalcy had faded and the house lay quiet, I meticulously reviewed the footage. The sight of Sarah and Mark together, their intimacy a stark contrast to the vows of fidelity we had once exchanged, fueled the fire of my anger and determination. Beyond video recordings, I combed through old messages and emails exchanged between Sarah and Mark. What had once been innocent communications between friends now revealed the undeniable truth of their affair. Coded language, suggestive remarks, and plans made behind my back. Screenshots of incriminating conversations were carefully saved and cataloged, forming a digital trail of betrayal that would bolster my case in the legal arena. Each new discovery brought a mix of anguish and vindication, solidifying my resolve to expose their deception to the world. In addition to electronic evidence, I sought out witness statements from friends and acquaintances who had unwittingly witnessed Sarah and Mark's inappropriate behavior. Their testimonies provided a corroborating perspective, painting a damning picture of the affair that had torn apart our once happy home. Some friends were hesitant to come forward, torn between loyalty to me and discomfort with the unfolding drama. Others, however, spoke out courageously, their accounts adding weight to the mounting evidence against Sarah and Mark. To supplement the evidence I had gathered on my own, I enlisted the services of a private investigator, a discreet professional tasked with uncovering any additional proof of Sarah's infidelity. Through surveillance and background checks, the investigator unearthed further details that strengthened my case and validated my suspicions. The findings of the private investigator were sobering, a testament to the depths of Sarah's deception and Mark's betrayal of our long-standing friendship. Armed with this new evidence, I felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to see justice served and to reclaim what had been taken from me. Yet amidst the relentless pursuit of evidence, the emotional toll of uncovering the truth weighed heavily upon me. Each new revelation reopened wounds that had yet to heal, stirring a tempest of anger, sorrow, and disbelief within me. The nights grew long and restless, haunted by the images and conversations captured by hidden cameras, by the damning words exchanged in secret messages. The intimacy I had once shared with Sarah had been replaced by a chilling distance, a chasm of betrayal that seemed impossible to bridge. As I immersed myself deeper into the task of gathering evidence, I couldn't help but question the toll it was taking on my own well-being. Revenge had become a double-edged sword, a means of reclaiming control and seeking justice, yet also a relentless pursuit that threatened to consume me whole. In the quiet moments between investigations and legal consultations, I grappled with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. Would the evidence I had painstakingly gathered be enough to secure a favorable outcome in divorce proceedings? Would justice, once served, bring the closure and healing I so desperately sought? As I stood at the crossroads of betrayal and retribution, one thing remained clear: the path forward would be paved with the truth, no matter how painful or damning it may be. With a wealth of evidence meticulously gathered, the time had come to execute the next phase of my plan, the setup. It was a strategic maneuver designed to confront Sarah and Mark with undeniable proof of their betrayal, setting the stage for the legal and personal consequences that would follow. I orchestrated a carefully planned confrontation, setting a trap that would expose Sarah and Mark's affair beyond any shadow of doubt. Armed with the evidence gathered from hidden cameras, messages, and witness statements, I confronted Sarah in our home, a place that had once been our sanctuary but now felt like a battlefield of broken trust. I waited until Sarah returned from work, the tension thick in the air as she stepped through the front door. Her expression was a mix of apprehension and uncertainty, a stark contrast to the warmth and familiarity we had once shared. "Tom, what's going on?" Sarah asked cautiously, her voice tinged with concern as she noticed the solemnity of my demeanor. Without preamble, I led Sarah to the living room where I had set up a laptop connected to the footage captured by the hidden cameras. The screen flickered to life, displaying the damning images of Sarah and Mark together, moments of intimacy and betrayal that played out in painful clarity before us. Sarah's face drained of color as she watched, her hands trembling at her sides. "Tom, I can explain," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's nothing left to explain, Sarah," I replied coldly, my heart heavy with the weight of betrayal. The evidence speaks for itself. As the images continued to unfold, Sarah's attempts at denial and justification crumbled under the weight of undeniable truth. Each frame was a testament to the depth of her deception, a stark reminder of the vows she had broken and the trust she had shattered. Following Sarah's confrontation, I turned my attention to Mark, a man who had once been my closest friend, but whose betrayal had irreversibly altered our relationship. I arranged a meeting under false pretenses, luring him into a private setting where the evidence of his affair with Sarah awaited. Mark arrived unsuspecting, his demeanor a mix of confusion and apprehension as he stepped into the trap I had carefully laid. The sight of the damning evidence, screenshots of messages exchanged, footage of intimate moments captured on hidden cameras, left him speechless, his face a mask of guilt and shame. "You betrayed our friendship," I accused him, my voice laced with a mixture of anger and betrayal. "You slept with my wife in our home." Mark struggled to find words of explanation, but none could justify the breach of trust that had torn apart our long-standing friendship. His silence spoke volumes, a tacit acknowledgement of the irreparable damage he had caused. Armed with the evidence of Sarah and Mark's infidelity, I proceeded with the legal proceedings with a renewed sense of determination. Divorce papers were filed, citing adultery as grounds for dissolution, a legal tactic aimed at ensuring Sarah would not escape the consequences of her actions unscathed. Consultations with Mr. Johnson, my divorce lawyer, became more frequent as we navigated the complexities of asset division, spousal support, and custody arrangements for Max. The evidence I had gathered served as a cornerstone of our case, providing the leverage needed to negotiate a favorable settlement and secure my financial future. Beyond the legal realm, the fallout from the setup extended into Sarah and Mark's social circles. Friends and acquaintances who had once stood by them now distanced themselves, unable to reconcile the facade of friendship with the harsh reality of their deceit. The setup had exposed not only Sarah and Mark's betrayal but also the ripple effects that extended beyond our fractured marriage. It was a pivotal moment, a turning point in the tumultuous journey of seeking justice and reclaiming control over my shattered life. Yet, amidst the triumph of exposing their betrayal, the emotional toll weighed heavily upon me. The wounds inflicted by Sarah and Mark's actions had yet to heal, their shadows lingering in the quiet moments between legal consultations and strategic planning. As I stood at the precipice of divorce and redemption, I couldn't help but wonder if the setup had truly brought me closer to closure and healing, or if justice, once served, would only perpetuate the cycle of pain and betrayal that had come to define my life. Having confronted Sarah and Mark with the undeniable evidence of their betrayal in private, the time had come to expose their actions to the public eye. It was a calculated move, a strategic decision aimed at holding them accountable not just in legal terms, but also in the court of public opinion. I carefully crafted a statement detailing Sarah and Mark's infidelity, sparing no detail of the deception that had shattered our marriage. With a sense of resolve tinged with bitterness, I posted the statement on social media platforms, a platform that would ensure the truth reached friends, family, and acquaintances alike. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Messages of support poured in from friends who had stood by me, their expressions of shock and sympathy a stark contrast to the disbelief that rippled through Sarah and Mark's social circles. To further amplify the exposure of their betrayal, I enlisted the help of a trusted journalist, a friend who understood the importance of presenting the truth to a wider audience. Together we crafted a narrative that highlighted the impact of Sarah and Mark's actions not just on me, but on everyone affected by their deceit. The journalist's investigative prowess uncovered additional details of the affair, shedding light on the depth of Sarah and Mark's betrayal and its repercussions within our community. Articles were published, interviews conducted, all with the goal of ensuring that Sarah and Mark faced the consequences of their actions head-on. The public reaction was swift and unforgiving. Friends and acquaintances who had once supported Sarah and Mark now distanced themselves, unable to reconcile the facade of friendship with the stark reality of their betrayal. The social fallout extended beyond our immediate circle, sparking discussions about trust, fidelity, and the consequences of infidelity. Some individuals expressed sympathy for Sarah and Mark, their loyalty tested by the revelations that had shattered the illusion of their integrity. Others voiced outrage and condemnation, their judgments colored by the pain and betrayal that had defined my journey to seek justice. Amidst the public exposure, the legal proceedings continued unabated. Divorce negotiations progressed with a newfound momentum, fueled by the leverage provided by public opinion and the evidence of Sarah and Mark's infidelity. Consultations with Mr. Johnson, my divorce lawyer, grew increasingly strategic as we navigated the complexities of asset division and spousal support. The exposure of Sarah and Mark's betrayal bolstered our case, ensuring that they would face the full consequences of their actions in both financial and personal terms. Yet, amidst the triumph of public exposure, I grappled with the emotional toll of confronting Sarah and Mark's betrayal on such a public stage. The wounds inflicted upon my heart had yet to heal, their shadows lingering in the quiet moments between media interviews and legal consultations. As I stood at the intersection of public scrutiny and personal redemption, I couldn't help but wonder if the exposure of their betrayal had truly brought me closer to closure and healing, or if justice, once served, would only perpetuate the cycle of pain and betrayal that had come to define my life. With the legal and public exposure of Sarah and Mark's betrayal well underway, the focus shifted to securing financial justice, a final act of revenge aimed at ensuring they faced the full consequences of their actions. Under the guidance of Mr. Johnson, my divorce lawyer, I pursued a strategic approach to asset division that would maximize my financial security while minimizing Sarah's entitlement. We meticulously reviewed our shared assets, properties, investments, and savings accounts, ensuring that each item was evaluated and divided equitably in accordance with the law. The evidence of Sarah's infidelity served as a critical factor in negotiations, providing leverage to secure a favorable outcome in asset distribution. Every decision was made with careful consideration of the impact on my future financial stability, a stark contrast to the uncertainty that had clouded my life since discovering her betrayal. In addition to asset division, we addressed the issue of spousal support, a contentious topic that underscored the financial repercussions of Sarah's actions. Mr. Johnson advocated for a structured settlement that would provide me with the financial independence needed to rebuild my life without reliance on Sarah's income. The evidence of Sarah's infidelity played a pivotal role in these negotiations, highlighting her breach of trust and its impact on our marriage. Each demand for spousal support was met with a counter-argument grounded in the evidence of her betrayal, ensuring that her financial obligations reflected the consequences of her actions. Beyond personal finances, I considered the broader implications of Sarah and Mark's betrayal on their respective careers and professional reputations. The public exposure of their infidelity had sparked discussions within their social and professional circles, raising questions about integrity and ethical conduct. I consulted with legal experts to explore potential avenues for holding Sarah and Mark accountable in their professional capacities. Discussions centered on ethical standards, professional conduct, and the potential repercussions of their actions on their careers. A strategic move aimed at ensuring that they faced consequences beyond the confines of our divorce proceedings. Yet amidst the pursuit of financial justice, I grappled with the emotional and psychological toll of seeking revenge against Sarah and Mark. The wounds inflicted upon my heart had yet to heal, their shadows lingering in the quiet moments between legal negotiations and strategic planning. As I navigated the complexities of asset division and spousal support, I confronted the lingering pain of Sarah's betrayal, a betrayal that had shattered the trust and intimacy we had once shared. The pursuit of financial revenge offered a semblance of closure amidst the chaos of emotions, yet I couldn't help but question if justice, once served, would truly bring the peace and healing I so desperately sought. In the relentless pursuit of financial justice, I found a measure of control, a means of reclaiming power in a world that had been shattered by betrayal and heartbreak. Each decision, each negotiation, brought me one step closer to closure, a closure that would mark the end of a chapter defined by deception and the beginning of a new journey towards healing and rebuilding. Yet, as I stood on the precipice of financial revenge, I couldn't help but wonder if the wounds inflicted upon my heart would ever truly heal, or if the pursuit of justice would forever leave me tethered to the pain of Sarah and Mark's betrayal. As the legal and financial proceedings unfolded, another consequence of Sarah and Mark's betrayal became increasingly evident: social isolation. What had once been a vibrant social circle filled with friends and acquaintances now felt like a deserted landscape, haunted by the echoes of whispered gossip and fractured loyalties. The revelations of Sarah and Mark's affair had sent shockwaves through our social network, leaving many unsure of how to respond. Some friends had chosen to distance themselves, unwilling or unable to navigate the complexities of loyalty and betrayal that had come to define our relationships. I found myself withdrawing from social gatherings and community events, preferring solitude to the awkward conversations and sympathetic glances that followed in the wake of Sarah and Mark's infidelity. The once familiar faces of friends now seemed distant and unfamiliar, a painful reminder of the fractures that had torn through our shared social fabric. Mutual friends who had once stood by us now found themselves caught in the crossfire of conflicting loyalties. Some remained steadfast in their support, offering a lifeline of understanding and empathy amidst the chaos. Others chose sides, their decisions colored by the revelations of betrayal that had reshaped our social dynamics. The loss of mutual friends weighed heavily upon me, a reminder of the collateral damage inflicted by Sarah and Mark's actions. Their betrayal had not only shattered our marriage, but had also fractured the bonds of trust and camaraderie that had once defined our social circle. In public, I navigated a minefield of curious stares and whispered conversations, acutely aware of the judgments and assumptions that accompanied the exposure of Sarah and Mark's affair. Each interaction was tinged with the uncomfortable awareness of being viewed through the lens of their betrayal, a reality that added to the sense of isolation that had taken root within me. I sought solace in solitary activities, long walks through quiet neighborhoods, evenings spent immersed in books that offered temporary escape from the turmoil of my emotions. The solitude offered a reprieve from the relentless scrutiny and social isolation that had become an unintended consequence of seeking justice and reclaiming control over my shattered life. As I grappled with the challenges of social isolation, I began to confront the daunting task of rebuilding trust in others, in myself, and in the possibility of finding companionship once more. The wounds inflicted by Sarah and Mark's betrayal had left scars that ran deep, their shadows a constant reminder of the vulnerability that had defined our fractured marriage. Yet, amidst the solitude and uncertainty, I found glimpses of resilience, a quiet determination to forge ahead despite the obstacles that lay in my path. The journey toward healing and rebuilding would be long and arduous, but with each step forward, I began to reclaim a sense of agency and purpose that had been lost amidst the wreckage of betrayal and heartbreak. As I stood on the precipice of social isolation, I recognized the opportunity for introspection and growth, a chance to redefine my priorities and embrace a future shaped by resilience and authenticity. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but with each passing day, I found a renewed sense of strength in the quiet solitude that had become both refuge and sanctuary in the aftermath of Sarah and Mark's betrayal. Amidst the turmoil of legal battles, social isolation, and emotional upheaval, a simmering rage had been building, a visceral need for closure that transcended the confines of legal proceedings and social dynamics. It was a primal urge, fueled by the deep-seated pain of betrayal and the relentless pursuit of justice. One fateful afternoon, as I walked through a quiet park near our former neighborhood, I spotted Mark, a figure from my past whose betrayal had left an indelible mark on my life. His presence ignited a torrent of emotions, anger, sorrow, and a gnawing sense of injustice that had yet to be fully reckoned with. Without hesitation I approached him, my steps fueled by a mix of determination and apprehension. Mark turned at the sound of my approach, his expression shifting from surprise to guarded uncertainty as he recognized the face of the man he had wronged. "You destroyed everything," I accused him, my voice trembling with suppressed rage. "You slept with my wife in our home and then pretended nothing happened." Mark's response was defensive, his words a feeble attempt at justification in the face of undeniable truth. "Tom, I'm sorry," he began, his voice tinged with regret. "It was a mistake, a lapse in judgment." "A mistake?" scoffed bitterly, the weight of his betrayal pressing down upon me like a suffocating blanket. "You betrayed our friendship. You betrayed me." The tension between us crackled in the air, a palpable reminder of the irreversible damage caused by his actions. I struggled to contain the surge of anger that threatened to consume me, a tempest of emotions unleashed by the sight of the man who had shattered my world with his deceit. In a moment of raw emotion, fueled by months of pent-up anguish and betrayal, I lashed out, my fist connecting with Mark's jaw in a sudden explosive burst of violence. The impact reverberated through my hand, a physical manifestation of the pain and rage that had been building within me since the discovery of Sarah and Mark's affair. Mark staggered back, his hand instinctively reaching to cradle his jaw as shock and disbelief registered on his face. The park around us seemed to fall away, leaving only the two of us locked in a silent battle of wills, a confrontation born of betrayal and the desperate need for closure. "You deserve that," I growled through clenched teeth, my voice thick with the weight of unspoken grievances. "You both deserve everything that's coming to you." The encounter left a bitter taste in my mouth, a bitter reminder of the emotional turmoil that had defined my journey toward justice and redemption. As I turned and walked away, the echoes of our confrontation lingered in the air, a stark testament to the depths of pain and betrayal that had reshaped the landscape of my life. In the aftermath of the physical confrontation with Mark, I grappled with conflicting emotions, guilt over succumbing to violence, yet a grim satisfaction in confronting the man whose actions had irreversibly altered my life. The encounter had been a cathartic release, a fleeting moment of clarity amidst the chaos of legal battles and social isolation. Yet, as I navigated the aftermath of our confrontation, I couldn't help but question the toll it had taken on my own sense of morality and integrity. Violence, however justified in the heat of the moment, offered no lasting solace or closure, a sobering realization amidst the wreckage of betrayal and heartbreak. As I stood on the precipice of physical confrontation, I recognized the need to channel my anger and pain into constructive avenues. Seeking closure through legal proceedings, healing through introspection, and ultimately, finding a path forward that transcended the shadows of Sarah and Mark's betrayal. As the turbulent journey of seeking justice and reclaiming my life approached its climax, the final legal blow against Sarah and Mark took shape. A culmination of months of meticulous planning, emotional turmoil, and unwavering determination to hold them accountable for their betrayal. The scene was set in the solemn confines of the courtroom, where the truth would be laid bare and justice rendered. I sat alongside Mr. Johnson, my divorce lawyer, anticipation coiled tightly within me as the proceedings commenced with a gravity that mirrored the magnitude of the betrayal that had brought us here. Sarah and Mark, flanked by their respective legal representatives, faced the scrutiny of the judge, a figure of authority tasked with weighing the evidence, adjudicating the claims, and delivering a verdict that would determine the course of our futures. Mr. Johnson rose to his feet, his voice steady and resolute as he presented the evidence of Sarah's infidelity and Mark's betrayal. Exhibits were displayed, testimonies recounted, and arguments articulated with a clarity born of months of preparation and unwavering commitment to justice. The evidence of Sarah and Mark's affair, captured on hidden cameras, documented in messages and emails, corroborated by witness statements, painted a damning portrait of deceit and betrayal. Each piece of evidence served as a brick in the foundation of our case, solidifying our claims and underscoring the irreparable breach of trust that had shattered our marriage. As the legal proceedings unfolded, the ramifications of Sarah and Mark's actions began to crystallize. Divorce papers citing adultery as grounds for dissolution sought to ensure that Sarah would not escape the consequences of her betrayal unscathed, while negotiations over asset division and spousal support aimed to secure my financial future in the aftermath of our fractured marriage. The courtroom drama unfolded with a gravity that mirrored the complexities of human emotions and legal intricacies. Emotions ran high as arguments were exchanged, objections raised, and judgments deliberated, a stark reminder of the stakes that hung in the balance for all parties involved. Finally, the moment arrived, a verdict delivered with solemnity and finality, marking the end of a chapter defined by betrayal and the beginning of a new journey toward healing and redemption. The judge's decision reflected the weight of the evidence presented, granting the dissolution of our marriage on grounds of adultery and outlining provisions for asset division and spousal support that sought to mitigate the financial repercussions of Sarah's actions. As the final legal blow fell, I felt a mixture of relief and sorrow, a bittersweet culmination of a journey marked by heartache, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to truth and justice. The courtroom drama had offered closure, a sense of resolution that, while tinged with sadness, also heralded a newfound sense of freedom and possibility. In the aftermath of the final legal blow, I began the arduous process of rebuilding my life, a journey fraught with challenges yet buoyed by a newfound sense of resilience and determination. The wounds inflicted by Sarah and Mark's betrayal would take time to heal, their shadows a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the complexities of human relationships. Yet, amidst the wreckage of betrayal and heartbreak, I found glimpses of hope, a renewed sense of purpose forged in the crucible of adversity, and a commitment to forging a future defined by integrity, authenticity, and the pursuit of happiness. As I navigated the aftermath of the final legal blow, I recognized the opportunity for growth and renewal. A chance to reclaim my life from the shadows of Sarah and Mark's betrayal and embrace a future shaped by resilience, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief in the power of redemption. In the aftermath of the final legal blow, amidst the echoes of courtroom drama and the weight of legal resolutions, I embarked on a journey of emotional healing. A profound process of introspection, forgiveness, and reclaiming my sense of self amidst the wreckage of betrayal. With the legal proceedings behind me, I confronted the turbulent sea of emotions that had been suppressed beneath the surface. The anger, sorrow, and profound sense of loss that had defined my journey through betrayal and heartbreak. I allowed myself to grieve, for the shattered dreams, the broken promises, and the trust irreparably fractured by Sarah and Mark's actions. Through journaling and therapy, I explored the depths of my emotions, unraveling the tangled threads of pain and resentment that had bound me to the past. Each session offered a cathartic release, a safe space to confront the complexities of human emotions and the scars left behind by betrayal. As I navigated the path of emotional healing, I began to forge a new sense of identity, an identity no longer defined by the betrayal of others, but by resilience, integrity, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of redemption. I sought solace in activities that nourished my spirit: long walks in nature, artistic pursuits, and meaningful connections with friends who had stood by me through the storm. Through acts of self-care and compassion, I nurtured a sense of self-worth that had been bruised but not broken by the tumultuous journey of seeking justice and reclaiming control over my shattered life. Each moment of introspection brought clarity, a gradual understanding of the power of forgiveness, both for others and for myself. As I confronted the wounds of betrayal and heartbreak, I grappled with the daunting task of rebuilding trust in others, in myself, and in the possibility of finding love once more. The scars left by Sarah and Mark's actions served as a reminder of the fragility of trust, yet also as a testament to my resilience in the face of adversity. Through meaningful connections and open communication, I began to cultivate relationships built on honesty, mutual respect, and shared values, a foundation rooted in the lessons learned from betrayal and the unwavering commitment to integrity. In the quiet moments between healing and introspection, I found glimpses of closure, a profound sense of peace that transcended the chaos of emotions and legal battles. The journey toward emotional healing had been arduous and fraught with challenges, yet it had also been transformative, a testament to the strength found in vulnerability and the resilience forged in the crucible of adversity. As I embraced the process of emotional healing, I recognized the profound gift of self-discovery, a journey that had led me to reclaim my sense of self, honor the lessons learned from betrayal, and embrace a future shaped by authenticity, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief in the power of healing. As I stood on the threshold of emotional healing, I embraced the opportunity for growth and renewal, a chance to redefine my priorities, nurture meaningful connections, and embrace a future filled with promise and possibility. The wounds of betrayal had left their mark, yet they had also paved the way for profound personal growth and a newfound appreciation for the resilience of the human spirit. As I navigated the final chapter of my journey through betrayal and heartbreak, I found solace in the knowledge that emotional healing was not an endpoint, but a continuous evolution, a journey marked by courage, compassion, and the unwavering belief in the transformative power of forgiveness and self-discovery. The journey through betrayal, heartbreak, and the relentless pursuit of justice had led me to this moment, a moment of profound clarity and renewed purpose as I embraced the promise of a new beginning. In the quiet solitude of introspection, I found the strength to forgive, not just Sarah and Mark for their betrayal, but also myself for the moments of doubt and vulnerability that had defined my journey. Forgiveness became a beacon of light, illuminating the path forward with compassion and grace. Through forgiveness, I liberated myself from the chains of resentment and anger that had bound me to the past. I recognized that holding on to bitterness only served to prolong the pain, while forgiveness offered the opportunity for healing and growth, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As I navigated the aftermath of betrayal, I began to reclaim my sense of identity, a journey shaped by resilience, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to authenticity. I embraced activities that nourished my soul, creative pursuits, meaningful connections, and moments of quiet reflection that offered solace amidst the storm. Each step forward was a reaffirmation of the strength found in vulnerability and the courage to confront adversity with grace. I discovered a renewed sense of purpose, a purpose rooted in self-discovery, forgiveness, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of a brighter future. Armed with newfound clarity and resolve, I embarked on the journey of building a new life, a life defined by integrity, compassion, and the pursuit of happiness. I cultivated meaningful relationships based on trust and mutual respect, surrounding myself with individuals who embraced my journey and celebrated my resilience. Career aspirations took shape as I pursued opportunities aligned with my values and passions, embracing the challenge of forging a path forward with determination and optimism. Each decision reflected a commitment to personal growth and the unwavering belief in the power of perseverance. As I stood at the threshold of a new beginning, I reflected on the transformative journey that had brought me to this moment. A journey marked by betrayal, heartbreak, and the profound resilience that had emerged from the ashes of adversity. The wounds of betrayal had healed, leaving behind scars that served as a testament to my strength and resilience. In closing the chapter of betrayal and heartbreak, I embraced the lessons learned, honored the growth that had stemmed from adversity, and looked ahead with hope and optimism. The journey through betrayal had shaped my story, but it did not define my future. It paved the way for a new beginning filled with promise, possibility, and the unwavering belief in the resilience of the human spirit. Years later, as I reflect on the tumultuous journey through betrayal and heartbreak, I am grateful for the resilience that carried me through the darkest moments and the courage that led me to embrace forgiveness and healing. The scars of betrayal have faded with time, replaced by a profound sense of peace and gratitude for the strength found in vulnerability. I have found love again, a love built on trust, respect, and shared values, a testament to the resilience of the human heart and the transformative power of forgiveness. Sarah and Mark's betrayal remains a part of my past, but it no longer holds power over my present or future. As I look back on the chapters of my life, I am reminded of the journey through betrayal, a journey that tested my resilience, shaped my character, and ultimately led me to embrace a new beginning filled with hope, happiness, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of a brighter tomorrow.